Game and post-game hosts on the MLB Network, Diamondbacks MLB Network, who's trying to break a record today to see how many different media outlets she can be on. Right, Jody? I mean, what is the record of how many hits, how many fill-ins have you done? And
plus a game.
In a game. I mean, you're going for a record today, aren't you?
I don't know. I'm just here for the people, you guys.
I love it.
Want to talk Diamondbacks or sports? I'm down for it.
Joe, that's the attitude. That's what I had. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to go. I don't care when, how, and why. But I love that. Speaking of your DBacks, did I read that right or do the correct addition? 32 runs in 4 games. They catching fire finally? Are we back on track? What is your assessment to see the hit parade?
Yeah, I've been up too long today to do a lot of math, but that sounds about right. Yeah. They're actually leading. You'll be interested. We're going to lead the pregame show with some of these numbers. They're leading the league in June with runs per game. I should say second to the Yankees only. Yankees are scoring 6.2. Diamondbacks are 5.8, which is pretty good considering they're having a great season and they have Judge and Soto and Stanton and on and on. So it seems like it's come together offensively, but unfortunately they have had the worst rotation ERA in June also. So it's just kind of the nature of it right now. And it's hard to rely, saying you're going to outscore people every night is not a recipe for winning in Major League Baseball. But for this stretch, until they get their pitching back, it's kind of how they may have to go on certain nights. They may get Ryan Nelson at his best tonight, and it may go well. And that's what we're hoping for because he is capable of it. He had a pretty good outing two outings ago, where he went into the 8th inning. Defense came up big with some of the balls that were in play for him, but then against the Padres, he just got rocked. So it's got to be somewhere in the middle, right? You got to give him. Hopefully, he can give this team 5 or 6 innings, so that the bullpen doesn't wear out. But yeah, the offense is looking really good right now, and hopefully that continues.
Well, and you win 8 of the last 12. You like that, and I feel the traction's there. But I think that the bullpen has done well aside from the starting rotation. And to your point, fought going 6 innings helps immensely when you're doing the bullpen by committee starts. We've had 3 now, Jody, in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I know they have 2, but that's to give them credit to kind of put the fire out.
Do you mean using like an opener type thing?
Yeah, that's the term, opener. I've never heard that. I've never heard that before. Opener.
It's basically like using the bullpen at the start of the game just to limit. It's usually when you have a right-hander scheduled, or it could be, either way. Like against the Dodgers, it's if you have a right-hander facing those lefties at the top with Shohei and Freddie, it kind of allows you to break it up, and for that person who comes in next to not have to start the game facing those guys. So, they've had to do some creative things, and tomorrow is TBD on the starter. That may mean that Tommy Henry is going to come in as the there might be an opener, and then maybe Tommy Henry comes in after that. I guess we'll find out shortly on that with Troy Lovello talking here soon. But, it's just, like I said, it's not easy when you're dealing with this many injuries and you have a 40-man roster and you can't really just pluck anyone from the minors. I mean, these guys are not ready down in the minors. They want to have them develop properly. There are some good arms in the minors, but, it's not necessarily the smartest thing to start picking up guys from down there that aren't ready. I will say this, Humberto Castellanos had a bit of a rough outing, but I like Castellanos. I think once he gets his feet under him, coming back from Tommy John is not easy once that first or second start or the first couple of weeks can be hard. I think he could be another option for them. So we'll see what happens. But they just, once Gallen comes back and he's throwing to hitters on Monday at Salt River Field, so that means that he's progressing, and hopefully they can get him back prior to the All-Star break, because we know that Merrill Kelly and Eduardo Rodriguez are not coming back until after the All-Star break.
Busy with Jody Jackson here on Fox Sports 910. Jody, if you had to select one of these 2 players, who would you vote to go on the roster for the MLB All-Star game? Would it be Christian Walker or Ketel Marte?
That's a hard one.
I know.
I mean, they are really both they're so deserving. And, Christian has a little tougher road because first base in the National League means Bryce Harper nowadays that he's at first. It means Freddie Freeman, who's been there forever with Atlanta and now LA. Those are tough because, but he's deserving in my mind, not only for the bat, but for the gloves. In fact, he and Harper have the same amount of home. It's just, I love it because if I told you 5 years ago that Bryce Harper and Christian Walker would have the same numbers and that Christian would be better at his position, which basically due to the arm injury as Harper is at first, but it's crazy and I love it. But Ketel is definitely deserving at second base. He's been the premier second baseman in the National League, and he absolutely deserves to go if you're putting him in that, against the other guys. So it's a no-brainer with Ketel. With Christian, it's harder because if you're not getting voted in, then how do you, do that? But gosh, I wish there were a way, I don't wish injury to anyone, but let's say one of those guys wants to just sit it out.
Yeah.
That would be great for Christian.
What about a couple arms? I think Ryan Thompson has had a great year. Kevin Kinkle, even Seawalt in the short time we've had a chance to see him. On the pitching staff, not necessarily starter because they're all hurt, but, some of these relievers, who would you lean towards that maybe you could get in there for a couple batters in the All-Star game?
Well, and it is hard for relievers too. I agree with you on Ryan Thompson. I think at closer sometimes, while Paul Sewell has been very good, I mean, sometimes it's guys with the more eye-popping strikeouts and things like that. But, the other one that I would say it might be next year and maybe it'll be year after that. But the guy that's electric is Justin Martinez. It's just that he's kind of, as you guys know, I mean, they kind of slow played. He wasn't really ready coming out and they put him in the low leverage situations and now he's building up to the higher leverage. Yeah. He's been like a guy that can go 2 or 3 innings if you need it, if he's rested. I mean, he's a guy that wouldn't it be fabulous if he continues this progression and he's a perennial all-star, and with Sewald being a little bit older, I mean, clearly Justin could be you could easily see him as a future closer. And, that would be pretty cool if, they could have him go that route and then he'd go to many all-star games, even though I don't think that he would be a candidate necessarily for this year.
Jody, with Suarez can continue to struggle, and Rock and I have this discussion about trade deadline. Do you go after legitimate third baseman, another arm? And I think we both concur that with, maybe Blaze Alexander over there or Newman, or since Perdomo is back, maybe you just handle that throughout the interior if Suarez was let go or traded or whatever, since he's not producing. You think they're content that they can handle that position if he continues to struggle and maybe go after that extra arm at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, this is an area where it is, unexpected, but they're dealing with it. And Suarez is batting like 195 with 5 homers, and
2 minutes.
He's only 32. He's going to be 33 soon. And you say, well, it doesn't seem like a guy that would be like already at the end. But the bat does look a bit slower. He's not hitting the fastball, which is kind of maybe an indication of something. That is slowing him down, that he is slowing for whatever reason. And yet, I do think they have options there. I mean, you do have, in baseball, you have to flip the script mid-season sometimes and you say, well, this isn't what we thought it was going to be. So what do we do now? And they could put Blaze there. They could have some combination of, Newman can play there. Newman really, Newman's been so productive. He went 3 for 4 last night. There's really you can't just, always operate on goodwill again with these decisions, but he's been a great, a guy that came in when they needed him most, and you'd hate to see them have to just designate him or something like that when he's a valuable asset. So is it Suarez? I don't know. I do know that Jose Abreu got designated for a sign-up day by the Astros, and I haven't seen him play. I'd have to see it, but he went down to the minors and apparently couldn't fix it. So he was batting, I want to say 124 with 2 homers, but they owe him a ton of money.
$30 million.
I think it's $30 million.
$30
and
million.
does happen,
Yeah.
it does happen. So it's something to keep an eye on. And, things are fluid all the time. And sometimes just because the guy has done it in the past doesn't mean that he's going to be just handed the job and continue to keep the job if he's not producing.
So, Jody, you going to get a power nap in, or is it too late? You're just going to let it ride?
No, I got to go. I got to get going here. You got to be there soon. No, I'm good. I actually, I got used to going to bed, doing a couple morning shows in a row. I went to bed a lot earlier, so feeling pretty good. And then I think tomorrow night is like a 7 o'clock game,
Yeah,
so that'll be a little later day.
Good. You deserve it.
Tomorrow I sleep in.
So what's the go-to at Starbucks on the way out to the ballpark?
I actually have already had, so this is going to be disappointing for you guys, but I drink decaf. And so I actually have a decaf latte in the refrigerator that I had from earlier. So I've had a lot of decaf, and so it doesn't really matter.
What's the
Decaf
use?
Americano.
Yeah,
Why even
latte?
buy it?
I mean,
decaf. What's
that
the
makes no
use?
sense. Oh,
No,
all right.
I don't, it's just who I am. And I just, if I drink caffeine, I could do it, but I don't want to risk it, because sometimes when I drink caffeine, I just get really, jittery, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So
No, that makes sense. Total
I'm
sense.
not conditioned like some people.
Well, Jody, thank you for fitting us in today.
Appreciate
as
that.
busy as you are. So thank you. We always appreciate you. Thank you. We'll be
No
watching
problem.
tonight.
Great to talk to you guys. Take care.
Jody Jackson, watch her tonight. Pre-game, post-game, as she mentioned, she's got a bunch of stats and things that they're going to toss out before the game tonight on the MLB Network. You can follow her on Twitter at Jody_Jackson. Winners of 3 of the last 4 Chicago White Sox in town. We're going to switch gears, get into some football at 50. And the Falcons, New Orleans Saints.